So, okay. So with that, next up is John Reese, who is going to talk a little bit about marketing AUXSCOUT in your district.
Right, yes, thank you, Bruce, for the introduction and also for introducing Joe. I'm very happy to have Joe helping out and stepping in to replace Bruce and, excuse me, replace Ron in this position. Bruce made the same joke that I was going to make about Ron having about 100 other positions in the auxiliary that he has to deal with. Now he's only got 99, so he should have more time on his hands to help out with that. So that's good to know. Joe will specifically be taking over the photo archive for us. There's a good screenshot of that there. I'll also post the link, the direct link to the photo archive later on. Just as a reminder to everyone, these are free images that any of us can use. They've already been cleared by both the scouts and by the auxiliary. There's no problems at all using any of these pictures, and all of the scouts in the pictures have signed the waivers and everything like that involved. So this is here for you to use for whatever purposes you might need. Which brings me to my next point, which is marketing Sea Scouts within your districts. Now, the national staff, especially PJ, but also Bruce and everybody else, has done a great job of doing everything up on the national level. Now it's up to you, the DSOs, to bring these within your district. So here's what I propose to you. Here's a 3-month challenge or an assignment. You have 3 months to work with your district PA officers to create either a social media post, an article in your district newsletter, something like that, related to the Sea Scouts and what they're doing within your districts. Feel free to use any of the images here in the media library or use your own images as long as they meet our requirements. But that's it, just one post. That's all I'm asking for each one of you. And more posts would be great, but just one. You have 3 months to do it. And I'll be following up with you guys later on at our next all hands meeting. But that's that. Any other questions or any concerns, Bruce?
No, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you are photographing a Sea Scout youth, you need to make sure that the 7020 alpha form is completed and is sent into the Auxiliary Association. That form was developed jointly by the Coast Guard Auxiliary and by the Boy Scouts of America to address privacy issues. If you don't have a form for the scout that you photographed, you can't use the photographic image. But all of the images that you see in the media library have been cleared, have media releases that are on file. So this actually is a good segue into a topic that was suggested about a week ago. Holly was exhibiting at the 5th Southern District Conference, and we had a lot of business at the booth. There was a lot of interest in the Sea Scouts and the AUXSCOUT program, and quite a few people came to us with questions about promoting the effort, promoting Sea Scouts, promoting what the auxiliary does for Sea Scouts. So these are a couple of different exhibits that we've done, and we've done quite a few over the years. The one in the upper left is at the Auxiliaries National Conference. The one in the lower left is at BSA's National Annual Meeting. And we'll be showing you some of the materials that are available for you to use for that purpose. Now, there are lots of places where you can be promoting this program: auxiliary conferences and meetings, boat shows, public education events, vessel safety checks, Scout conferences and meetings, Order of the Arrow conclaves, safety at sea events, Sea Scout recruiting events. This particular photograph is a paddlecraft station at the safety at sea event at Curtis Bay Coast Guard Yard. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about some materials that are available. A set of the table drapes, flag feathers, and a couple of pop-ups were sent out to 8 of the districts back in 2020. I'm sorry that we didn't have enough money to send it out to all of the districts, but in most cases, what happened was there was a pairing. So one of the first districts got a set, one of the 5th districts got a set, one of the 11th districts got a set, and so on. And I cannot tell you where those are. You're going to need to work with your colleagues to try to find where they might be today. That said, all of the materials that you see here have been cleared by both the Boy Scouts of America and the Coast Guard Auxiliary. And there is a commercial vendor who will be more than happy to take your money or your district's money to sell you one or more of these things. And the URL that's on this page, tinyurl.com/AUXSCOUT-banner, which I think Holly is putting in chat, will take you to the flyer that has the ordering information for this. So that's just something that you can use to kind of frame your exhibit. You do not have to use these. These just happen to be already approved, and they're very professional looking, show the Sea Scout program in a very positive light. And of course, there are feather flags and the table drapes that show the AUXSCOUT program as well as this pop-up right here. So let's go to what handouts are available. This first handout is theoretically available from ANSC. It is in the ANSC catalog. I can tell you that it is out of stock and there's no money budgeted for having additional copies made. That said, you can download a PDF master of this from this really nifty tiny URL, tinyurl.com/AUXSCOUT-chart. And it's available in both English and Spanish. And basically what this does is it talks about Coast Guard careers in language that is intended to be useful in a scouting audience. So it talks about active duty, reserves, civilian service, the Coast Guard Academy, and the Coast Guard Auxiliary. So that's that. The next one, let's see if I can click the right button. This is a flyer that's intended to explain what the Coast Guard Auxiliary can do for Sea Scouts to a Sea Scout audience. It's a 2-sided 8.5 by 11 flyer. You see the URL for that. This is available in both English and Spanish. Again, you would download the PDF and duplicate it locally. The opposite of this, I'm just giving you a second to copy down that URL. This is explaining what the auxiliary gets out of working with the Sea Scouts. And it too is available in English and Spanish, and it is available as PDF masters that you can download and duplicate locally. Now, these are a little bit on the old side. We've kept them up to date, but you can do better. And I can tell you that First Northern, D7, and now 5th Southern have either in the past or are currently working on flyers to make these more accessible. This is the brand new flyer that Fifth Southern has put together promoting the AUXSCOUT program to Sea Scouts. And this is available for download. Holly and her team are working on a flyer for the auxiliary audience to encourage them to work with Sea Scouts. And they're nearly done. They would have been done by now, except that the key person working on that flyer has worked every day since the Key Bridge came down, doing public affairs for the Coast Guard Auxiliary. So that probably will get done this week. And when it does, we'll make it available to everybody. But there's nothing that says that your district couldn't do something similar to this so that you can promote the program. This is, as you can see, is a threefold brochure that you can then put on your table and give out to those who are interested. Now, a question that has come up in the last couple of weeks comes from a flotilla in Idaho. The auxiliarist who is working on organizing a new Sea Scout ship in Boise, Idaho, was told by his flotilla commander that we as auxiliarists are not allowed to wear auxiliary uniforms when we are doing AUXSCOUT community relations missions. And if ever there was a photograph that proved that information wrong, this is it. In this photograph are two former National Commodores of the Sea Scouts, and the gentleman standing in the light blue standing to my left was the then National Commodore of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. So yes, we are allowed to wear our auxiliary uniforms when we are representing the auxiliary in promoting our partnership with the Sea Scouts. So if anybody tries to tell you differently, they simply don't know what they're talking about. So, okay, moving right along, I would like to introduce PJ O'Neill, who will tell us a little bit about Tech Talks and any other online teaching opportunities that his team is working on.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Bruce, and good evening to everyone. Many of the names are familiar to me, but if you don't know me, I'm PJ O'Neill, the branch chief for STEM training. Any type of online training that can facilitate growing our knowledge base or improving relationships between the Coast Guard Auxiliary and Sea Scouts, that's our domain. Any kind of topics that come from our membership should be forwarded up to me, and I may not be the person to create the webinar or the Zoom meeting, but I will be the person to help bring that training to the members. Our most popular and profitable, if you want to use that term, of course, it's not money, but in terms of value, our most profitable program is the Tech Talks. So the Tech Talks are a once-a-month series. They're always held on the fourth Tuesday of the month at 2100 hours Eastern, so 9 p.m. Eastern. And we feature subject matter experts that will present a topic or some sort of training topic that is useful to and interesting to Sea Scouts, to that demographic, to young adults, but also is highly valuable and interesting to the Coast Guard Auxiliary. It's an excellent program because you do not have to be a member of the AUXSCOUT team as an auxiliarist to attend the Tech Talk. It's open to all auxiliarists, all Sea Scouts, and all Sea Scout adult leaders. So in terms of, say, branding, when we are out in our flotillas and divisions, and there is some confusion about what is the AUXSCOUT program. Of course, there are the direct relationships between flotillas and Sea Scout ships, but also there is this program where if that doesn't exist in your region, or there is some some apprehension about forming those relationships, I would advertise our auxiliary members to join in on a tech talk. It's a very low impact and interesting way to engage in a Zoom meeting format with Sea Scouts, adult leaders, other auxiliaries, as well as receive good high quality training. So when I say good high quality training, I would just say last month's topic. We had Addison Lash as our subject matter expert. This young man was a Sea Scout who attended the Massachusetts Maritime Academy and is currently a merchant mariner. And so his talk was that journey from scouting through a maritime academy and now his life as a deck officer and how he's progressing in his career. So it was very valuable information for the Sea Scout demographic, trying to learn about what career opportunities, maritime career opportunities are out there and those pathways. How do you get there? But I could say as an adult auxiliarist, his talk was absolutely fascinating, right? Anyone involved in the maritime sphere would have benefited. Next month's Tech Talk is a name familiar to anyone in the auxiliary that does paddlecraft. Our subject matter expert in April is Dr. Robin Pope. He's going to be presenting a new course that he's developing. He's saying for the using American Canoe Association standards, that this, to his knowledge, is one of the few, if not only, research-based safe paddling course. So that's going to be on April 23rd. I can put the link to the Facebook announcement that has the Zoom invitation in there. But it brings me to my point that where do we advertise the Tech Talks? Well, in the AUXSCOUT program, they are on the Facebook page, on the AUXSCOUT Facebook page, right? So you'll want to look there. And if Holly doesn't have the link, I can, when I'm done talking, just put that into chat. But that's one of the Tech Talks that I would encourage not just you to attend yourselves, but to send out to your auxiliary contacts as well. Again, the Paddlecraft Tech Talk is going to be highly beneficial for both the Sea Scouts, but also of great interest to the auxiliary. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Pope, Robin Pope serves as the Deputy Director for the Coast Guard Auxiliary's Recreational Boating Safety Outreach Directorate. And if you're involved in paddlecraft and you've gone through the manual, the PQS, you've gone through Dr. Pope's work. And he's also on the board of the American Canoe Association. So each month we bring in top-level experts to present on these topics. Now, what happens if you can't make it on the fourth Tuesday of the month? Or you realize after a Tech Talk has passed, wow, that would have been a great topic to share with my flotilla. Well, the good news is that Peter Sargent does a great job recording and editing all the Tech Talks and gets them posted to the AUXSCOUT YouTube channel. So all the Tech Talks we've ever had live there forever. So you can go back to any particular Tech Talk for the entire length of it, and they range usually between 40 minutes to an hour. Or you could pick out a section of a Tech Talk that's applicable to your flotilla or division. I know of many flotillas and divisions that will use segments of Tech Talks as training at their meetings. So if you have any questions about Tech Talks, if you are a subject matter expert in some science, technology, engineering, maritime related industry, I would love to hear from you. If you have ideas for a Tech Talk, we're always accepting suggestions. So if you have questions about Tech Talks, you can get a hold of me.
And let me just add that if you're not already a subscriber to the AUXSCOUT YouTube channel, we'd strongly encourage you to subscribe to it. There is no cost. And if you do subscribe, ring the bell as well. The benefit of that is that you will be notified anytime there are new videos that are posted on the AUXSCOUT channel. We have over 1,000 subscribers, and we'd like to make sure that this important resource is made available not just to Sea Scouts, but also to other auxiliaries, because there's a lot of terrific content there that would really improve local units program and training.
Bruce, I
So,
did want to add,
mhm.
just looking at
Sure.
the screen, that with Dr. Pope's new paddle safe course, we're just looking at his schedule for May. We may be breaking this into a 2-part series, where part 1 will be on April 23rd and part 2 would be presented May 28th. We're just have to verify with Dr. Pope's schedule, and then if not, we'll get an alternate topic out there. But hopefully that's what we're going for, is a 2-part series, part 1 in April, part 2 in May.
He is such a great speaker that it's important that we not rush him and let him say what he needs to say, because it's really good instruction, and I think everybody would benefit from hearing from him.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to just add a couple more things that are related to our STEM efforts. As you're probably aware, the application deadline for the Coast Guard Bark Eagle cruise, as well as AIM Week, has recently wrapped up. I have gotten a preliminary report from the Eagle Cruise selection group team. They have 14 applicants. We've only been guaranteed 4 slots, although we've been asked to select 2 additional alternates in case the spots become available. And the reason why that is they are never quite sure how many incoming first-year midshipmen at the academy are going to wash out their first summer. So if there are additional places aboard the Eagle, we will be made, a couple more spots will be made available to our Sea Scouts. I haven't heard how many applications we have for attending AIM Week. That's the Academy Introduction Mission Week, where the Scouts are given an intensive introduction to Academy life, as well as some really top-notch STEM training. So this is just an important, these are both important opportunities that we are making available to Sea Scouts through our involvement with them. So that's all I have to report on that right now. The selections have not been made yet, but they will be, I'm sure, very shortly. And with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Ron, who is going to talk about website updates and migrating resources and so on.
Hey there, everybody. We've been working hard to develop our new website, AUXSCOUT.com. That's the URL you want to be using, AUXSCOUT.com. That's the main page. You just saw it there a half second ago. We also include on the website all the information about the talks are included on there as well. We had the AIM Week registration. That was the ones you just saw back there, as well as the Bark Eagle. So those, we put all that stuff on our site as well. So we really have multiple channels that we're trying to push this information out from. So it's not just our Facebook group, and we also put it on the web. So it's in multiple places. We are in the process of migrating everything off of our old system, AUXB Wiki. I will tell you that it is it's a whole lot harder than you might think it is, because we had this guy who was working on that AUXB Wiki who was actually a librarian for the Library of Congress. And, there are links that are so buried deep that you really have to dig to find them, and hopefully fix them. Sometimes they have that problem. When I was recently doing the recognition page, I consolidated our recognition pages together to one page. It's already on AUXSCOUT.com and our resource page. You know, so I'm merging all these things together. Then I got to go through and validate every link. And not only did we find that we had a MOA that was listed on there that doesn't seem to exist anymore, we also found actually an invalid link on the Coast Guard Commandant's Community Relations website. So I've got them trying to find it for me. But we do validate these as we go. So it is it's a slow process. I wish I could say it wasn't, but it is. We are still working very hard to try to get this done in the next month because we want to get it and just mark it off as being completely finished. But it's been a lot of fun to work on, and I'm hoping that by what we're doing in reorganizing things from Auxby Wiki, it'll also make it a little bit easier to find some of the content that was pretty buried in some cases. Next slide, sir. Okay. This was a topic that I was requested to talk about very specifically, and it's about reporting our hours and, you know, all the statistics that we do. As most of you may know, who've been hanging around here long enough, if you're a branch chief or if you're a DSO, every week you get reports from me. Sometimes more reports than you expected to see from me, needless to say. But we're trying to get a good handle on the number of hours that have been logged in Aux Data 2 by our auxiliaries. And even more specifically, how many of our auxiliaries who are already flagged as CSCOUT are reporting hours under the AUXSCOUT code. So it's a very important thing for us because this helps us go back to the Coast Guard and say, hey, you know what? Last year, the Sea Scouts contributed 297 vessel exams. That's not vessel exams you would have had. So we like to show the value. And by the way, we break it down a whole lot finer than that. But that is one of the great things that we're working on. We're trying to track the growth in hours over 2023. We're doing great. Right now, we're about 57% ahead. Uniform inspection. Most all of you who are members of the auxiliary already are aware we now have an annual requirement for uniform inspection. An officer at any level cannot be exempted from a uniform inspection. So it's kind of an important thing, but we're starting to look at what's the percentage of our national staff as well as all of our DSOs and SOs and FSOs, see how many are having those uniform inspections done. It's really painless. I'll tell you very truthfully, I did mine back in February. And the nice thing about doing it in February is I got to do it in my favorite uniform, the winter dress blues. So, but just about any one of our uniforms is perfectly acceptable. We're also looking at Sea Scout training being completed. You know, there is actually 4 types of Sea Scout training that is tracked in Aux Data 2. There is youth protection, which everybody knows about by now, but there's also Sea Scout adult leader basic training. There is safety afloat and safe swim defense. By our SOP, DSOs, branch chiefs should have completed all this training, not just youth protection. So if you haven't done that yet, take the time. It's all easy. It's all free. It's all online. So it's not hard to do. The other thing we've been looking at lately is the Coast Guard Auxiliary Leadership Training that's been going on now for the last several years. Since branch chiefs and DSOs are at what they call level 4, you should consider going through all the training through level 4, which includes OXLAM, AMLOC, and ALLOC. Flotilla procedures, other things like that, but it gives you a well-rounded idea about the leadership requirements. And I'm going to tell you something kind of off the cuff here, but I I was listening in to the last in train since it was being broadcast, and I was listening to it on a YouTube channel, and there was a whole big discussion going on about getting rid of the red A's and having only blue A's. Okay. Well, it got shot down because the district commodores kind of banded together and said, no, we're not going to let this happen because we don't want our older members in particular have to go back out and buy new rank insignia. However, one of the DCOs made this offhand comment. He says, appointed officers just don't have the skills necessary that elected officers have. And I'm going, oh yeah? So I am promoting that everybody, whether you're a branch chief or a DCO, or if you're an SO, or if you're an FSO, you take the appropriate level of leadership training, okay? And if you go out there to the training directorate, there's a leadership training section. It'll tell you exactly what to take. And it's great training, I'll tell you very truthfully. It was fun because I got to actually take a couple of courses from the National Fire Institute. The last time I went to the National Fire Institute, I was living in Maryland, stationed at Fort Meade, and I was doing some training to become an EMT. And one of the exercises we had to do was drag a 250-pound dummy out of a smoke-filled basement without you dying. Oh. Okay, let's talk about reporting hours. Which hours? These are actually questions that I reworded. Which hours should they be recording using AUXSCO 2 when doing things unrelated to Scout? If you are an auxiliary who is a registered Sea Scout or Sea Scouter, you should have the Sea Scout flag set on your record in AUX Data 2. If you don't, your DSO or myself or Bruce can go back and get that set for you appropriately. Then, on each and every entry you make in AUX Data 2 or submit to someone else for you, they should make sure it is encoded with the operations code of AUXSCO 2. Because, one of the questions stated earlier was, we do this so that we can demonstrate to the Coast Guard what the Sea Scouts are bringing to the table. So we need to know that stuff, okay? So please make sure that you're using those operations codes. And if you're an auxiliarist who is a registered Sea Scout or Sea Scouter, all your entries should have AUXSCO 2. 2 hours spent with Sea Scout ships shouldn't be reported. No, your hours working with the Sea Scout ship absolutely should be reported. The mission will vary depending on what you're doing at the meeting. Next slide, please. Toward the detail there. So, if you're there as the unit leader, you're a committee member, you're the COR because you're FSOAF, then your mission code 99A, quite appropriate. If you're just there to be there, 99E, just like if you were attending anything else, other function. If you're there to teach skills related to the auxiliary, and of course you're a qualified instructor, then you would use 06B. If you're not a qualified instructor, you would use code 99D. I know that sounds like I'm just tossing that out there, but I actually went through the training to be an IS officer. And so I've kind of gotten a really good handle on this stuff, and I keep the most recent handy dandy brochure that they print for us, so I can go back and refer to these things. So let's say I'm an auxiliary. I'm registered with the BSA, but I'm not registered as a Sea Scouter. I'm a unit commissioner. And I go to visit a Sea Scout ship. Well, since you're not a Sea Scouter or Sea Scouter, your code would be AUXSCO 1, and your mission code would be 99E. Very common thing. The question was, what mission codes can we not use? Well, it's a really limited number, to tell you truthfully. A Sea Scout under the age of 17 cannot log time in mission codes related to the operational QE check ride if they are going for coxswain, watercraft operator, or pilot. Okay, just those three. So they can't use 07C until they turn 17. They can be completely qualified to take that check ride the day they turn 17, and they can do it. So kind of a thing to really try to help Sea Scouts get more involved with the operational side of the world. Check ride though, got to be 17. Sea Scouts and Sea Scouters older than 16 can use any mission code that is appropriate for the work they are doing. There is no restriction. And your IS officer is your best resource for the question. They're trained, they've been through some great training, and their folks up their chain of leadership and management are always there to help. And I can tell you that in my interactions with them, they are very supportive of the AUXSCOUT program and the things that we are doing. So, you know, these are quite well. I see a question from Richard. Says, how far back in time can someone report AUXSCO2? I know someone who's not reported it for 2 years, and I have them report it to a certain point in time. This depends on your IS officer because these are already entered items in AUX Data 2 and how much they want to do. My IS officer is a crazy person about this. And I had to have some records adjusted for my work as an academy partner. And so she went back in all the way to the very beginning when I joined. Now I joined, we already had AUX Data 2, but from when I joined and recoded all of that stuff for me. So it depends on the IS. That's all I can tell you. Maybe they will go back 2 years, a year probably, beginning of this year, more than likely. But that's, you know, that's just going to be the challenge that you have with what your IOS officer wants to do. They can't do it. I mean, we can't do it. The only people who can do it are our IOS officers. Okay. Next slide, sir.
And this one is mine.
That was my end of my slide. All right.
Yes.
If
Okay.
there were any other questions, drop them in the chat. We'll catch them later when we're done with the main meeting.
And we do get questions along the way from this. Not all IS officers are up on this, and we're happy to work with them to help them understand what the rules are. We want to make sure that hours are recorded correctly per the instructions. So, and Ron is a particularly good resource for that. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about where we are with new ships. Okay, yes, actually I want to go back. We're entering a very busy season for starting new ships, and I'd like to take a few moments to go over what you need to be doing to make this happen. As of today, there are 33 Coast Guard auxiliary chartered ships. There are another 25 prospective auxiliary sponsored ships that we're working on. Of these, 5 look like they should be coming online very soon. That would bring the number of auxiliary chartered ships to 38, which is up from 26 at this time last year, and 0 in 2020, which was only 4 years ago. Currently, the following districts lead the country with the most number of ships. 5th Southern has 7 ships. 8th Coastal has 6 ships. 5th Northern has 4 ships. D7 and 8th Western Rivers have 3 ships each. And the following districts currently charter 1 or 2 ships. 1st Northern, 1st Southern, 8th Eastern, 9th Eastern, 9th Central, 9th Western, and 11th Southern, and D17. Yes, there is now an auxiliary sponsored ship in Alaska. That means that all but 3 of the districts are chartering at least one ship. Currently, there are 552 youth and adult members of auxiliary chartered ships and 228 Sea Scout auxiliaries recorded in AUX data. And remember that that latter number is just a partial number. We want to track down the Sea Scout auxiliaries who may not have the flag set. Your DSO or Ron or I can set that flag if you just let us know about it. This demonstrates solid benefits, excuse me, for both the auxiliary and the Sea Scouts. So we are making a difference. I'd like to remind you that we need to know if a flotilla or division is interested in chartering a Sea Scout ship. Please let your DSOAS, Mac McBride, and me know. This is just a portion of the current list of prospects that we're working on. DSOs, please make a point of following up on each of the prospects listed for your district at least once a month. These prospects don't improve with age, so make sure that they know that you haven't forgotten about them and that you're there to help them, answer any questions, or provide them with help. We can also connect them with Boy Scouts of America resources and Sea Scout resources so that they can get their answers questioned and get connected to the appropriate people in the local Scout councils. And as a reminder, we have a checklist for organizing new Sea Scout ships at tinyurl.com/new ship checklist. If you can read a bullet list, you can follow this checklist, and everything you need to know about organizing a ship is in that checklist. It's very simple and straightforward, which doesn't mean that it's just going to magically happen on its own. The local people need your help and encouragement, because in nearly every case, this is going to be the very first time and maybe the only time that they will organize a new Sea Scout ship. Mac is there to help, and so am I, so is Ron. We can help you with organizing new Sea Scout ships. Succession planning. As you probably know, the current National Commodore's term of office will end at the end of October, and there will be changes to the National Youth Programs team. Similarly, some staff appointments at the flotilla, division, and district levels will be ending at year's end. Even if you don't expect to be replaced at the beginning of the coming year, I hope each of you is looking around to identify who will fill your shoes in the future. None of us will be in our current positions forever. And let's face it, the longer we serve in a single position, the less energy and imagination we bring to the job. I wish that weren't true, but it is. Find your relief and talk with them about the job's challenges and rewards. You're not trying to talk them out of taking on the responsibility, but people are more likely to take a challenge if they really understand what's involved. On the same line, there are many open ADSO and SOAS positions that need to be filled. We do not want somebody who is just taking a title for the imagined glory or authority that goes with it, because as you all know, there is no glory or authority that goes with anything that we do. We are there to help people, encourage people to support this program and support the Sea Scouts. We want leaders who will get the job done. The payoff is a stronger Sea Scout program, a stronger AUXSCOUT program, and of course, a stronger Coast Guard and auxiliary. For the members of the national staff, your appointment runs through October 31st of this year. If you know that you're going to want to move on, please let me know. I'd appreciate your recommendations for new members for the National Youth Programs team. So that covers everything that was on my list. Are there questions? I'm going to just stop sharing and ask, are there any questions that people would like to ask or comments that they'd like to share with the group?
Hey, this is Rich Balch. I have a quick comment.
Yes, sir.
I just want to let you know that in our District 9, for the operations brief, they have included AUXSCOUTs in there for part of the briefing.
Yes, thank you, Richard. I attended the same briefing in Fifth Southern about a week ago. I also got a report from another district where the person who was doing the operations workshop gave out some misinformation about what requirements there were for taking Sea Scouts out on the water. I have referred that to the National Division Chief. Apparently, the individual who was doing that workshop was using an out-of-date version of the workshop. The bottom line is that we follow what the AUXSCOUT standard operating procedure says about training requirements. And to boil it down, if we are taking Sea Scouts out on the water, all of the adults must have completed the youth protection training within the most recent 24-month period. They should send that completion certificate into DIROCS or whoever handles that in your district so that that can be entered into their training record. Additionally, at least one adult aboard must have the safety afloat training. Now, that doesn't have to be an auxiliarist. It can be a Sea Scout leader, but at least one of the adults must have the safety afloat training completed and in date, which is to say within the last 24 months. Are there any other questions or comments?
Ron, Bruce, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We were talking, I'm from First Southern, and we were talking at our operations meeting with our sector about taking Sea Scouts out on board, and the question came up of what safety equipment do they have to be provided with, and it seems as though it's the same equipment that a guest would have, which would not
Yes.
be full. So is that a nationwide standard thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I would like to say that that's a part of the operations policy manual, but the operations policy manual has just been replaced with a handbook for reasons that we don't need to go into here. But yes, the Sea Scouts are basically treated as guests. If the Sea Scouts are also registered auxiliarists, they will be treated as auxiliarists.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Sure. David, your hand is up. Unmute yourself, David. There
You
go.
mentioned that YPT, which we know about for all crew members, safety afloat. Isn't there a BSA requirement for one person on board to be CPR AED qualified?
That is a BSA requirement. It is not in the SOP. I think it's a very good idea to have that. But what I'm doing is I'm quoting Coast Guard policy. And I say this, Holly and I just retook our CPR AED training a couple of days ago so that we would be in compliance with this. So it is a very good idea, and it really doesn't take that much time. It's really pretty painless. So yes, we want to encourage people to do that.
I can
Other
tell you
questions?
that in 9th Central, on boat ops, they are required to have at least one crew member who is CPR AED trained at all times.
Frankly, what drove it for me is that I'm renewing my Coast Guard master's license, and I had to have an updated CPR course.
You still doing the 50-ton?
Yes. Talk about really fun paperwork packages. Saul.
So I just wanted to mention, we have a new youth protection officer in the BSA named Glenn Pounder. I spent Saturday with him in Binghamton for the day. And so some of the revelations are seemingly that we will have youth protection annually, not every 2 years. And for the love of God, we're finally going to have a renewal course that's not the same as the initial course. And he is much more interested in common sense, right? We're never going to legislate our way out of being accused of a problem. So he'll have a whole new youth protection process that's going to go through. The current youth on youth training is going to be totally scrapped, and it has been rewritten. He exposed me to the draft, much more active prevention rather than just, hey, let me teach you all these crazy things that kids do. You know, I learned more about what not to do by taking that training. So I think positive improvement. So it won't be running through a slide deck of youth protection thing over and over again. That doesn't seem to help. So there's some really bright light at the end of that tunnel. He actually comes from a long 30-year career in law enforcement, cocaine interdiction worldwide, and then youth abuse efforts in law enforcement for the last 8 or 10, and then finally private enterprise, and then us.
Well, the Coast Guard is really serious about wanting to make sure that the Coast Guard Auxiliary is very aggressive about getting people youth protection trained. When BSA changes its requirements for YPT training, we will definitely work with Coast Guard headquarters to make sure that the AUXSCOUT SOP is in sync with that.
The good news is it's not change for change, it's change for improvement. So that, you know, trust me, that's a positive outcome.
Well, you know, we had some grousing about YPT training, particularly in the first year or two, you know, another required course, but it's just such a no-brainer. You know, we're trying to keep our kids safe. And frankly, it also helps to keep our members safe because it alerts them to things that they should not be doing that could potentially put themselves into legal jeopardy. So it's not just a requirement to for the form of it. It's to protect everybody involved.
Yeah, you could, if you don't want to take it for youth protection, take it for adult protection, because it'll keep you out of being in an unusual situation where you're perfectly not trying to do anything wrong, but you find yourself compromised. You'll be more attuned to the needs, and it'll protect you from something embarrassing.
It obviously won't guarantee that nothing bad will happen, but if you follow the youth protection training guidelines, it's the single most important thing that you can do. Get trained, follow the guidelines, and no, I can't guarantee that nothing bad will happen, but the chances are really good that you will have a very positive experience and the kids will be safe. Other questions or comments? All right, well, what I'd like to do is I'm going to go back to the slide deck. I just have a couple more slides to share. And so as always, we're interested in hearing about how we can serve you better. Do you have any recommendations for changes to our goals or methods? What do you think should be our priorities? And who are our untapped potential partners inside the auxiliary? Please send me your recommendations via email and do it by the end of the week so you don't forget to do it. There's always room for improvement and room for growth, and we really appreciate your ideas. So let me just close by thanking everyone for all that you're doing to promote and support the program. Our next quarterly all hands staff forum will be July 14th at 2100 Eastern. We're going to stay after if people have topics that they'd like to deal with individually. But thank you so much for all you're doing for the